Hello, gorgeous people. Welcome back to the Lucy Superfox show. My name is Lucy Superfox, and this is my podcast and channel. So, the sun is shining. I'm full of vitamin D. You can see a little glow in my face from spending time in the sun. And I wanted to jump on today and record this really quick podcast after having numerous conversations with clients and really knowing from my own experience how difficult sometimes visualization can be. There is a huge narrative in the personal development space that visualization is the key to manifesting your dreams. And don't get me wrong, when I've had vision boards in the past, they've absolutely moved the needle in terms of helping me create focus, reminding me what my goals are. But sometimes, and especially in the season where I was in the depths of what I call my healing journey, I was really diving into healing trauma. I was doing a lot of work on my nervous system. I was allowing myself to feel the depths of pain and sadness and all those unprocessed emotions I hadn't felt. What then came up for me in that time was that I was actually found it very difficult to visualize in terms of actually imagining images in my mind, but also getting really clear on what I wanted. I found those two things immensely difficult. So subsequently then having conversations with clients who have either struggled forever or are struggling in a season of not being able to visualize and see things, I wanted to share with you why this sometimes happens and what you can do about it. Now, I think there's a tendency to self-judge ourselves, just like when in last week's episode where I talked about sometimes why meditation doesn't work or we feel like we can't relax into meditation. The exact same thing happens with visualization. You know, we hear these people talk about visualizing and going this imaginary journey and this deep dive story and sometimes we're just like, what? Because, you know, all we can see is a black box when we close our eyes and that's it. And the truth of it is there is a phenomena, I suppose is a good word, or a condition. And again, careful to attach yourself to conditions that you don't want to keep. But it's called aphantasia. So aphantasia is basically the inability to see or visualize with our eyes closed. So to imagine images in our mind. The reason I'm sharing this with you is because it is so easy to pick up a label that feels really true for you, but to allow that to define you moving forward. So a really great example of this is I was 19 when I was diagnosed with chronic fatigue syndrome and I can never say the ME one, but fibromyalgia, effectively. They're all kind of a collection of conditions. I was 19 when I was diagnosed with that. Now, I didn't find out I was a celiac till I was like 28. I didn't find out that I had messed up gut health till I was 28, right? I had so much work to do on myself that actually now I sit here as somebody who's 37 and I no longer have fibromyalgia. I no longer have CFS. I discovered the fact that I have ADHD in 2021. And I would say that yes, now some of the symptoms still present, but that's a choice. I choose to use those parts of my ADHD to create hyperfocus or to go into that deep dive obsession on something. Like I love those parts of me, but it does not control me because I've done the work to regulate my nervous system. And if you haven't heard my thoughts on ADHD and dysregulation of the nervous system and trauma healing, let me give it to you in a nutshell. ADHD is developed as part of attachment trauma. If you heal the root cause of your trauma, you will help support your ADHD symptoms by bringing one, the root cause, so you've released the root cause of something. And two, as you do that inner work to process feelings, to process unfelt emotions and bring regulation to your nervous system through a variety of methods, you know, things I teach inside the Becoming program, what you're then going to find on the other side of that is an ADHD that's much easier to manage than one that's managing you. And so I tell you about aphantasia so you understand it's a real thing and that you're not crazy and you're not broken and you're not wrong. And this isn't just affecting, you know, I think the stats, they said it kind of affects 5% of people, but I would argue it's probably more. It's just that more people haven't stepped forward or valued visualization in the future goals and dreams they have. And so don't know that they can't do it. So it's basically the inability to see inside your mind. And where this can be problematic is when we are trying to design a new future from the one we have now. So let's say the life you have now, you're in an environment you don't love where you live, you want to change that. There are parts, you know, you want to change your body, you want to go on a body transformation, you want to redecorate your house, you want to live in a new area, you want to imagine yourself, you know, wealthy and abundant because right now you're not. That can be so fucking difficult at the best of times, let alone if you struggle to visualize inside your mind. So number one, don't attach yourself to the label because the label will then reinforce that's who you are, that's a limitation, and you can't move through it. Two, I would look at why it's not safe for your mind to create images. Why is it not safe for you to be inside your body, inside your head? For, mind is a controversial word when you're talking about the nervous system and the brain. So when your eyes are closed, why is it not safe for you to imagine things? Why is it not safe for you to be in stillness? Much like meditation, if your nervous system is in a state of survival or high alert, or it's in dysregulation. So it's in a state where it's not regulated and calm and doesn't feel safe. It's not going to feel safe to sit with itself and create images of imaginary future when it perceives it's currently in danger. So for me, what's logical here is that a big part of the aphantasia type symptoms, or the inability to visualize, is not because you're broken or wrong, but instead because there's dysregulation in the nervous system. If you get deeper into the trauma conversation, the more intense the trauma, so the more acute the trauma, the more dangerous or terrifying to the nervous system the trauma was. In cases of massive abuse, things like that, that can often lead to disassociation. And disassociation is almost where I've experienced disassociation in specific experiences. And what it's like is it's like the soul leaving the body temporarily. And so what then happens is, if you imagine it like the soul leaving the body temporarily, the body and then the soul, or the powerful version of you, or the higher self version of you, or the most authentic version of you, or whatever word vibes, they almost become disconnected. And so when they're disconnected and you come back together, you're never quite the same. It's basically what PTSD can do, what intense trauma can do, is basically break that connection between the body and the mind. And when we break that connection, that's where we struggle with things like visualization too. We struggle with feeling things. We struggle with sensations. We struggle with outside concepts. So even understanding concepts, or even things like goal setting. A lot of people struggle with common sense was a stupid phrase, but a lot of people struggle with things like spatial awareness. Dyspraxia shows up. A lot of people struggle with things like being quite clumsy. And a lot of these things could all be down to that kind of sense of disconnection between body and mind. And, one of the things I always love to say to my clients, I have a big fitness background. I was a competition prep coach and a nutritionist for quite a while, is that if you are in the gym, right, and you're lifting the weights and, you're doing your weight training and you haven't got mind muscle connection, you're just going through the motions, right? That is the exact same thing when it comes to visualization, when it comes to meditation, when it comes to nervous system regulation practices, is that if you're all up in your head about it, and analyzing and questioning and thinking and asking, why is it not working? And I'm not seeing this and this is not happening. Then we're just going through the motions. So if visualization isn't, inverted commas, working for you, then I would move away from it completely. And one of the things that I found really interesting when I was going on depths of my healing journey and also coaching clients through this was that there's often a lot of trauma around the things that we want. There's often a lot of either limiting beliefs, negative stories, fear in the nervous system. So as in triggers. So maybe the thing you want is abundance. You want a more abundant life, and you reach certain thresholds and you get super triggered in your nervous system. So when this happens, things like a vision board can actually be something we either avoid. So you can have the vision board, but you can avoid it and push it away. Or two, the vision board is actually becoming then a problematic trigger because it's not something that you necessarily are aligned with on an energetic level. So as a result, then we've not got no vision board, we're not visualizing, we're feeling really disconnected, we're feeling down anyway. Maybe there's, maybe we're doing our inner work, maybe there's some stuff going on. This can feel so shit. But here's the thing. You don't need to be able to visualize to be successful. You don't need to be able to goal set to be successful. You don't need to have a vision board to be a fucking millionaire if you want, because I'm damn sure there are a ton of millionaires who've never made a vision board in their life. What needs to happen is you need to be an energetic match for the thing that you want. So whether or not you see that, to use the word see, in your mind, whether you feel that in your senses, whether you know that, right? The key is to create that mind-body connection so that you are an energetic match for the thing that you want. So the thing that you want feels safe. The thing that you want feels normal. The thing that you desire feels like, of course, absolutely no-brainer, versus necessarily you being able to see it and imagine it and create it. That is just when your subconscious can do those things. It sometimes makes it a little bit more, you can kind of tell it's happening, right? Because you start to see more clues, you start to notice more things. Your mind is drawing a map, right? So it tends to be a little bit more obvious. It does not mean you can't have the things that you want. It just means the way that you create those is going to have to be specific to you. And this is where it's important to find out for yourself, for you personally, what allows you, so you personally, to be in the energy of it's already done. What allows you to feel safe in receiving the things that you want? What allows you, and this is you, right? This is all personal. Personal development should always be personal, right? Generic personal development advice fucks me off. What is the thing that works for you, that puts you in the energy of your future goals and dreams, right? And I'm using those words lightly, but your future sense of what you want, your future, the future that you want to create on the outside of your life, the inside state you want to create, what gets you in the energy of feeling like that's safe and normal, and then do a lot of that thing. You don't have to have a vision board. You don't have to do visualizations. Guys, I'll be honest. I have a vision board now, didn't have a vision board for 2 years. I don't do visualization particularly. Sometimes I'll do meditation when my nervous system is on board and we're hanging out and we're best friends. Sometimes my nervous system can still go into rapid states of dysregulation, right? And that's the nature of anybody that's been through extensive trauma, and anybody that's, been through stuff, as well as anyone with neurodiversity. You don't just have a perfectly regulated nervous system all the time. Like, that's not how this works. And also, we want our nervous system to react to stuff that we know is working, right? So it goes up, it reacts, and then it comes back down. So I'm not regulated all day, every day on an ongoing basis. But when I am, and I want to meditate and I want to allow myself to feel things, I focus on the feelings in my body as I've rebuilt that mind-body connection through doing my inner healing work, through doing my nervous system work, through healing my trauma, through getting to the root cause of things. And so this is really about you finding your personal route to you being an energetic match for the things that you desire. Visualization is not required. Meditation is not required. Affirmations are not required. EFT is not required. None of these things are required. They are just options and choices available to you. But I want you to know, just because there might be conditions or labels on your health, on your well-being, on your lifestyle, on the way that things happen for you, they are not permanent limitations. Everything in life is temporary. Right now, this podcast, I'm in this energy, I'm vibing, I'm flowing. Once this podcast is done. It's temporary. It's over. Once you've listened to it, you could listen to this 100 times if you like, but it's still temporary. And so we live in this fixed mindset of, if I'm not able to do this, then I'm doing it wrong. Or if it's not this, then I'm failed. And actually, we live in a world of attraction. So it's not about, we don't live in a world that says, oh, I say no to that and yes to that. We live in a world of yes, yes, yes. So whatever you are saying yes to, you are going to get more of. So whether that yes is things that you do want or don't want, you're going to keep getting more of them. So if you keep reaffirming to yourself that you're sick, you're ill, you've got these conditions, and I'm not questioning the realness of your experience. To be clear, I spent 10 years feeling like a piece of shit, right? With unbalanced thyroid, with crazy other hormones, with extreme exhaustion. I'm through the other side of that now and no longer need those. But the key, and one of the most important things, was that the healing really began when I refused to believe that those labels around me were permanent. The healing began when I refused to believe that a label on me was a permanent state of how I had to be, how I had to create, how I had to live. And so I want you to know that no matter what you are experiencing and feeling as a limitation, it is temporary. It does not have to be permanent unless you decide that it does. Now, the challenge is we live in an environment, so your house, your workplace, your friends, your social media, your environment is reflecting back to you the life you currently have, what you currently know, what you currently believe, what is currently normal. And so a huge part of your healing, or a huge part of your growth, or a huge part of your transformation is going to come from making small shifts in your environment, whether that's unfollowing accounts that no longer align with your vision, or, for want of a better phrase, where you want to be going, right? It is changing your wardrobe. Guys, I literally today have been like, order that, order that, order that, order that. Charity shop, charity shop, charity shop, Vinted. If it's designer, it goes on Vinted. If it's not, it's a charity shop. Some great charity shops around here. Like, align yourself with who you want to be and where you want to go. And so a vision board is not required, but maybe you want a lifestyle board. Maybe you want, if fashion's your thing, maybe you want a fashion board. Maybe you want a board of all the places you want to go. Maybe you want a board of, maybe you want to get some imaginary checks off Instagram for how much monthly money you're going to be receiving. Like, you can still have visual cues, but the key thing is this: your life right now is reflecting back to you more of the same. So it's going to feel permanent. So whatever you can do to change your visual environment on the outside of you, as well as your auditory environment, so what you listen to, what you speak about, the people you spend your time with, you do not need visualization to create future success. You just need to be cultivating the environment around you to, one, make it feel like safe and normal, and of course, for the manifestations you want to create, but also aligning the life that you currently have and moving it step by step towards the future life that it is you are trying to create, whether that's with your health, your wealth, your business, or whatever it might be for you. So that's all I feel I had to say. But if you right now are ready to get to the root cause of your trauma, you are ready to get to the root cause of the health issues, you are ready to get to the root cause of why you just don't feel the way you know you could be feeling, then you can drop me an email, lucy@lucysuperfox.com, and I will send you the link to join me either on a free discovery call or to unlock a root cause therapy session with me. Root cause therapy is a beautiful modality for getting to the root cause of limiting beliefs, negative behaviors, and problems that we just can't seem to solve, as well as patterns that we seem to be repeating. So if you want to find out more about root cause therapy with me, you can find that at lucysuperfox.com/RCT, and you can unlock a 4-session package in the shop. 4 sessions as a trial, see if you like it, see if you love it. But I want you to know that when you get to the root, just like when you're weeding the garden, right? If you keep taking off the top, the root is going to keep growing back and showing up somewhere in your life. It's going to show up in a behavior, it's going to show up in a belief system, or it's going to show up in how you're feeling and experiencing your life. So by getting to the root, we get to make those fundamental, foundational changes from the ground up, to use my analogy, so that you can ultimately become the person it is you want to be and create the life that it is that you are looking for. So that was all I had to share. I really hope you found this helpful. Don't forget to like, subscribe, to share this with anyone you think might love it. You can always ask me questions or comments in the on the comments button below. Let me know if there's any other topics you would love to hear me speak about. You know what I'm like, I can rant for Britain. So have the most beautiful rest of week, and I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.